Wow. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over a 2022 Lincoln Aviator. First and foremost, though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with the Aviator. Check out the inventory link below. Let's get into the video. Under the hood, we have a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission, fuel economy 17 around town, and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 400 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the Aviator. So first off, you guys know I'm a huge fan of the body lines. Now the white paint kind of hides them just a little bit, but in the right lighting you can still see it. Coming down below, we have these reflector LEDs with the accent light. The accent light doesn't actually blink, that's just the frame rate of the camera. And then you have another light down below that has a turn signal integrated into it. And then notice parking sensors rather integrated into the front. And you can see the Lincoln grille with the camera right there at the bottom of the Lincoln logo. And aside from that, that is the front end. Coming around the side here, I've got two 55mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you can see the design here on the wheels is really cool. It's almost like a bunch of curved blades poking to the center, holding the Lincoln logo up. And then here's a quick look at the front suspension. And then you guys can see here with the fender flare, we've got the Aviator logo right there. Notice how that kind of continues on. And then we've got the mirror, which is actually blacked out, which matches the pillar in the front. And then also there in the back, which makes it look like the roof is kind of floating. But that molding continues along the side as well. And there's your full side view. Now here's our key fob. We got the Lincoln logo there on the back. And then you can see here on the front, we've got the unlock, the lock, the remote start, and then the opening for the hatch. And wait for it. Bada bing, bada boom. Popping here into the rear, notice we've got a little bit of storage space underneath. And then we've got this to raise and lower the seats. You got the 12-volt just down below. And then you guys can see the back of the seats here with the little strap. But other than that, that's everything for the rear. Notice you can lock it or you can just press that and then that'll close it up. And boom. Now let's finish things up here in the rear. So notice we've got the LED light bar, which still looks fantastic. Got the Lincoln logo. I really like the look of the exhaust tips, and then notice we've got the parking sensors. We've got the receiver hitch just under that bezel, and other than that, there's the Aviator. There's its sibling vehicle, the Explorer. Now here's the door panel in the back, so notice that we've got the sunshade right here, and then we have all of the leather trim. I love the look of the speakers there for the sound system, and then notice the blacked out trim, well, piano black trim rather, around the window control, and then you've got the electronic release for the door handle. And then here are the seats, so we got the leather with the perforated leather here down the center, and then your adjustments on the seats. And let's pop in. As you can see, legroom's great. And then headroom as well, and then here's the storage pocket. And then that is actually for the climate controls. That's a screen for that whole setup. Got the vents, got the little charging area, and then we've got some cup holders right here. And we actually have this for the sunshades, funny enough, right there in the center. And then you can see extra storage right here within the center console. Definitely looks really nice, especially with the wood trim. Now, as for the third row, headroom is actually pretty good. Legroom a little bit more on the cramped side. You can fit adults back there in a pinch, but what I would recommend is to probably kind of reserve it for kids on long trips. And notice they do have cup holders back there. But let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front. So again, notice we've got that leather trim with the stitching, and then we've got our controls here for the seats on the side. Do have memory seats, and then the speakers there for the sound system as well. And then notice we've got all of the window controls, and then you've got the mirror adjustments. This does have power folding mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then here are the seats at the front in normal Lincoln fashion. They look kind of crazy, but they're very comfortable. And yeah, I like them. There's the pedals, and then you've got the light controls right here. You've got that for the rear hatch, and then you pull that twice to unlatch the hood, so there's not like an official latch that you have to pull with your finger, so that's cool. Lincoln plaque. Steering wheel is automatically adjustable, and there's where I'm gonna look before you pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the Aviator. We've got really nice leather all around, and then the stitching in the center, and then even the airbag cover has leather and stitching around it. And then we have the cool controls here, where if you press the button, then it'll actually change the controls here on the side, kind of what those look like. So for example, let's go over to the phone, and notice that, or music rather, and notice how it'll go to that button, then you can press the home screen button. But yeah, it's a cool function, looks cool. Cruise control does the same thing when you turn the cruise control on. That'll turns on. So yeah, I think that is pretty fun. Turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock. Also, there's paddle shifters there in the back for that 10-speed, but that's all. Now here is the center gauge cluster. It is a full digital screen, and then there's a few different menus you can scroll through. So like, for example, we had it in the column screen right there. Pretty straightforward though, just gives you different bits of information here on the Aviator. We'll just leave it in the column screen mode, but we do have some different drive modes. It's gonna let us know that we're low on fuel. We got our normal, oh, we skipped it, conserve, which is your good fuel economy moding, excite, which is your sporty driving mode, and then we've got the slippery, deep snow conditions, and yeah, those are the different drive modes. Pop it back into normal, and that's all for that. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, notice we got the backup camera with trajectory lines that turn to the steering wheel. You got the bird's eye view, and then you can zoom in as well. And then notice the different camera views here that we have. Definitely nice. And then if we pop into park and then press the camera button, notice we have the front camera view, which you can go through the viewpoints right there. So yeah, really good from a camera perspective. As for the rest of the infotainment system, response time on the screen is great. You guys can see that, well, when you actually press it, and not press the button, rather press the slide function, it goes well. And then notice here we've got ambient lighting. So you have all the different colors you can choose from. And then if we go to the seats, we do have massaging seats as well. So yeah, living life of luxury. We have wood trim here in the background. Then notice we've got the leather trim all around. And then down here, notice we've got the vents and then the camera button control. That's your parking assistance. And then if you press this, notice it pops up with the driving assistance. And then we've got our transmission selector right there. More wood trim here in this area with the analog radio controls, analog climate controls in this area. We have heated, cooled seats for the front passengers. And then notice we have some extra storage space right here, which is definitely nice. And we've got some cup holders and kind of more storage space. Got the parking brake right here. Again, more nice trim. And then as for the center console, that thing like flew open. Tons of storage space in there. There's a 12-volt, nice leather here on the top. And almost couldn't reach the glove box. It's pretty far away. There's tons of space in this car. But yeah, lined with felt. And yeah, just notice the attention to detail in this interior. It's definitely really upscale. And we'll finish things here at the top. So we've got the full panoramic sunroof. Notice we have the sunglass holder right here, the controls for the sunroof, universal garage door openers. That's all for the top. Now, sorry, there's a ton of glare, so you guys can't really see the window sticker. But anyways, this one is a 2022 Aviator Reserve I. And the total MSRP on it is $71,855. And let's take it out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here. So you guys can see visibility over the hood and then the heads-up display. There's visibility through both the mirrors. They do a blind spot, and then the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So we are setting off here in the Aviator, and it's been quite some time since I have driven one of these, so it'll be pretty interesting. I actually want to pop it over into the Excite mode because we'll be getting an acceleration with it. I love how this thing drives. It's such a nice luxury vehicle. Turning is great. Wow. Yeah, that 3 liters definitely peppy. That 3 liters definitely peppy. We're gonna pop it back over into the normal driving mode. This thing's quick. It is definitely quick. But yeah, let's talk about the important stuff with this, right? Ride quality, road noise, all the fun stuff. Because I mean, it's a luxury car, so what is it like? First off, ride quality is exceptionally smooth. That's something that Lincoln is really good with across their lineup, is just making vehicles that ride really smooth, whether it's the smaller ones or the bigger ones, right? You've got stuff like the Nautilus on the smaller side and the Corsair, and then obviously you've got the Aviator and then the Navigator on the larger side. But yeah, all of them drive really smooth, and this is definitely no different. Aside from that, road noise, pretty minimal. Even though it's got pretty big wheels, you don't hear a whole lot. Do a little bit into the cabin. Yes, I know the fuel's low. Okay. Anyways, aside from that, comfort's really good with the seats. The seats are really comfortable, really supportive. Again, you've got the massaging seat function, which is definitely a huge positive. And yeah, that is all really solid. So yeah, they've just done a really good job again with making a nice, comfortable luxury car. And it's easy to drive, and that kind of also goes along with the luxury side. When you have a car that's, you know, you kind of have to handle all over the place, little bit upsetting, but this, again, it's easy to drive, so it helps out. Yeah, turn-in's great. Yeah, I love the torque you get from that 3-liter. So let's get into setting things up here and give this a score. So first off, exterior-wise, I think it is still a really good looking vehicle to this day. This debuted for the 2020 model year, I believe. I might be wrong. Yeah, it was the 2020 model year. Still looks great. Interior still holds up really well. Now this part of the dash is still soft touch, but it doesn't have stitching or anything in it. So I guess that's one thing I'll knock it for not having like stitching there on that portion of the dash. But the rest of the interior, like the key touch points are all really nice looking. And so yeah, that's all just a big positive. And that's all that really matters, right? Is the touch points look nice and feel nice, especially the wood trim like that. You're not necessarily going to touch all the time, but definitely has a nice feel to it. And then in terms of the driving experience, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's comfortable, but it has a good acceleration too. So it's practical from that perspective. Now let's give this a rating. So it's going to get an 8.5 out of 10. Now this would get a 9 out of 10 if it was the Grand Touring. That's the hybrid version. And the reason that it would get a higher score is because of the better acceleration. This is really good. But the fact that I know that I can get an Aviator that has like almost 100 more horsepower and like 200 pound-feet of torque more makes me go, you know what? This thing's great, but there is a better version out there. So yeah, overall, really solid luxury third row SUV. I feel like the pricing is competitive with it as well. And there's not really a whole lot that you can knock this for other than the fact that there's not stitching on the dash. It's really the only thing that I have a complaint about. Everything else is pretty much perfect. Now let's kind of sum things up for our video on this 2022 Lincoln Aviator. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Schmiller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with the Aviator. Check out their inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.